Hey, what's up you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring another action movie QMR review set. And in this one we're going to be talking about Breaker Breaker, starring Chuck Norris in his first lead role. We're also going to be talking about Norris in Silent Rage, released in 1982, along with Steven Seagal in Belly of the Beast, and Jean-Claude Van Damme in Second in Command.
My turn.
Meeting my icon, Catherine Isabel here.
Bloody Jacob, your sexy, awesome, exclusive content. Part of this. Subscribe to the little butt down there.
First off, we're going to be talking about Breaker Breaker, Chuck Norris's first lead role in a film, his first true lead role anyway. Again, released in 1977, and again off of IMDb. It's about a truck driver who searches for his brother who has disappeared in a town run by a corrupt judge. And yeah, that's basically all there is to it. Very, very straightforward. For basically the whole movie, you have Chuck Norris wandering around this small, sort of westernized town in search of his brother, kind of poking around, and of course the locals are a bit wary of him, almost every one of them, sketchy as hell. And then you have Chuck Norris defending himself and kicking his way through them as he needs. But yeah, this film I actually just grabbed a copy of. I just also watched it on Xfinity On Demand. And I've been on a Norris kick lately, and I knew I had to get to this one. Now, this film has a bit of a mixed reputation these days. I mean, even Chuck Norris, I think at one point said that he wasn't very proud of it. He literally said he didn't know what he was doing, and the others didn't so much either. They filmed in 11 days, I think it was. But he says his dad had always felt this was his favorite. So that's something anyway. His father, really heralded it anyway. That's the thing. This film I still thought was quite enjoyable. I liked it. I mean, I'm not going to be talking for too long right now. It is very late at night. So it's only going to go for hopefully 10-ish minutes I'm planning. But anyway, this movie is definitely dated in some regards. The fight scenes are somewhat clunky, not quite as smoothly choreographed or executed as we would see, nowadays, but especially, or even even the heydays of the 80s and 90s martial arts films, it's not really as refined as that. Some things don't really connect properly, you kind of question, how much they're actually hit by something, and it's just not very, complex moves are thrown, but that's fine. You still get to see Chuck throw some pretty good kicks. You can still tell he's a superior fighter to everyone else in the movie than the pudgy, corrupt sheriff's deputies and stuff like that. And it's a bit fun to see him, him to continue to outsmart them and outwill them and stuff and such like that. And the premise in general, even though again it's dated, so you couldn't do a ton with it, it's still a fun premise. I mean, you have again Chuck Norris in this small westernized town, lawless, sort of, running things on their own, and basically it's the corrupt group of people, trying to weed him out basically and get to him before he attracts any more attention. So yeah, then you have the judge getting drunk routinely and having sex with whoever he can. Then you have this widowed mother who ends up trying to help him through what happened with her husband and such. And again, dated in some regards, but really when you watch it, I think it's pretty enjoyable. I mean, it's it's gonna sound weird to say this, but I personally might have enjoyed this maybe a little bit more than something like Invasion USA, which is like a quintessential big Chuck Norris action movie. And you'll find I might have similar feelings with Silent Rage as well, which we'll be talking about in just a second here. But yeah, I liked Breaker Breaker. If I had to rate it, I'm giving it, I'm still keeping it realistic. I'm giving it like a 78. I'll give it like a 78%, I think. Or like a C plus or so. And yep, next up we're going to be talking about Silent Rage, also starring Chuck Norris, when he finally got a little bit of facial hair, his mustache. And again, seeing Chuck Norris blonde and clean shaven in Breaker Breaker was a bit of a throw off. But here we have him with his mustache anyway. Science created him, now Chuck Norris must destroy him. And it came out in 1982, and again off of IMDb. It's about a sheriff who tries to stop the killing spree of a silent maniacal murderer who, as a result of secret genetic experimentation by an unethical scientist, has the ability to self-heal. Now, of course, being a major horror genre fan, it's still my favorite genre, I was very intrigued to see, how a movie like this came out, as I was getting into more of Chuck Norris's body of work recently. And I'm happy to say it came out rather well. I'm not really going to show my face too much in this video, because again, it's late, so I'm kind of just sitting back and ranting. But I did want to show this retro-style VHS copy of the movie I just gotten, so you can pull a tape out of it. It's not quite as elaborate as I think like the Stranger Things Season 1 VHS style they did. This is a different company, of course, but it's still kind of cool. It's just a slip cover. And then you have like the regular cover you see in the thumbnail underneath, but still cool. It's worth picking up, and it really wasn't any more expensive than like a standard Blu-ray would be for a movie. And some Norris movies DVDs can be so oddly expensive if you look at certain ones. But yeah, anyway, Silent Rage I was pleasantly surprised by. You have people kind of criticizing Chuck Norris's actual acting abilities a fair bit. I'm not saying he's like the greatest actor, of our really time on this earth or anything. But I've always felt that Chuck, I think, is a natural. Like even in this, he shows a fair bit of personality, and even if you don't see like an immense amount of emotional range or something. He still feels like a natural in the role. He never sticks out like a sore thumb that I've seen yet anyway. He feels like he fits into the character and the kind of the environment he's in. And he does that here. I thought his relationship with an ex-slave of his, who is played by Tony Kalem, I thought that was kind of cute. I liked his partner. Charlie, who was played by Stephen Furst. That was kind of a fun dynamic there. It kind of goes where you think, but it works pretty well early on. You have Ron Silver as one of the doctors who is at first trying to help the killer initially. Kind of figured just things out before it spiraled out of control the way it does. You guys know, genre fans know Ron Silver as the main villain from the Van Damme classic Time Cop movie. But yeah, this movie actually worked quite well. Then you have Brian Libby, who played John Kirby, the killer himself. What I really appreciated about this movie was how well it actually ended up meshing the genres. You have traditional Chuck Norris, martial arts at times in the movie, but it's not about that. Even the last fight, it's not like a kung fu fight or something like that. Chuck Norris throws some really nice kicks, but you can tell he's acting desperate. It's more of a fight for survival, sort of drag and kick away sort of thing, I guess, if you want to put it that way. Except when Chuck Norris knows he has to do kind of go to extremes to put him down, and so you kind of get that fun factor of, okay, we could see Chuck Norris let loose on a guy who can't die. That should be entertaining for a while. You have that. Then you have Chuck Norris in this bar fight scene in the middle of the movie. What else could he ask for? And then you have actually a pretty decent little thriller bridging on horror slasher side of it too, with the John Kirby killer. And I think Brian Libby did a really nice job. He had a kind of a creepy look to him, the way his eyes were, his glare and everything. The fact that he was a mute essentially, I think gave him an extra layer of kind of just eeriness. And the movie had that at times too. It knew when to use like decent 80s music cues, but when they sort of just stay silent, just rely on like shadows or just the way it was shot. It definitely had like an eeriness and sort of just like this empty, almost gloomy sort of vibe to it, if you want to say that I really appreciated in it. Really reminded me of some decent, earlier films of the specific genre at that time as well. Being the diehard horror fan I am, I actually really enjoyed this movie. Another one I probably personally prefer over Invasion USA. I don't know why I keep bringing that one up, but probably my favorite Norris films so far after revisiting the ones that I have. That could change either way. I think I'm always going to really like this one. I have a soft spot for it. So yeah, I really liked Silent Rage. And I'm giving it between like an 85-87%, somewhere in there. And next up, we're going to be talking about, hopefully just another 5 minutes or so of this video, guys. We're switching gears here. We're talking about Belly of the Beast, starring Steven Seagal, which came out in 2003, I think it was, yep. An ex-CIA agent's quest to find his kidnapped daughter leads him on a trail of political intrigue, corruption, danger, and betrayal. He will stop at nothing to save her. But apparently he's not really that concerned about it. And, speaking of acting ability and range, Steven Seagal doesn't really hit it out of the park in this movie, if that's a surprise to you. Now, I enjoy Steven Seagal in certain movies. I obviously have an addiction to watching some of his movies for whatever the reason. Belly of the Beast is kind of somewhere in the middle in terms of movies of his you should watch and their quality, I guess. Definitely not the worst of the worst. It has more consistent action than some of his other 2000s films. There's more hand-to-hand than I expected. But the issue that comes with that is the fact that a lot of them are, they're not terribly choreographed necessarily, but there's some wire work used when these henchmen or whoever guys are coming after him are knocked back. It kind of makes it look ridiculous, like a backhand slap of Seagal, so all of a sudden knocks the guy like 10-15 feet away or something like that. I mean, like, come on. And then towards the end fight, especially, like, his character all of a sudden jumps and does like this big spinning kick, and he can obviously tell it's not Seagal. That's happened in a lot of Seagal movies, but sometimes I think they just need to sort of, okay, if he can't do it or he doesn't do it, don't really have it, go so far to make it to the point of where people can notice and find it even more unbelievable. Because he does this big jumping kick, and then you can see the guy's face is just skinnier and his frame is smaller and such. And I don't know, it took away from it. But there is some consistent fighting to it nonetheless, so it kind of keeps a more entertaining pace to it than, again, some of his other 2000s films. Byron Mann, a genre as a genre professional, on the other hand, I think is pretty good. I won't say he's utilized to his full potential, but he gets a fair bit of concentration in it, I guess. And then, Tom Woo, who's been in some other genre work as well. This wasn't too bad. It wasn't the hardest Seagal film to watch, especially of this, that decade. But there's definitely some cheesy moments. And speaking of Seagal and his acting in this movie, when he finds out his daughter is kidnapped, his reaction is like, "Oh, you're kidding me." So yeah, he's very devastated and very frustrated and stressed about his daughter being missing. Yeah. And at one point he does get more frustrated when he's trying to talk to someone about it, but still, come on, Steven. Anyway, Belly of the Beast, it's somewhere in the middle. I don't know if I'll really put it in again, but it's not the worst of the worst of his. So yeah, if I'd rate Belly of the Beast, I'm giving it probably a D+. I don't know if I want to say high anything, but probably 60 something, somewhere in there. Who knows? But yeah, so Belly of the Beast was a movie. And next up, we're going to be talking about Second in Command. Starring Jean-Claude Van Damme, this movie came out in 2006, and off of IMDb, it's about a new military attaché is also second in command at the U.S. Embassy in Moldavia. The loser at the recent presidential election isn't letting that stop him. The president seeks protection at the U.S. Embassy, bringing it under attack. So you have a bit of a political backdrop, so to speak, with this. and you have Van Damme being sent in because he's, yeah, second in command, but they play it off like, you know, he's the guy who they send in to really take care of shit and things like that. Then you have guys who are more regularly working around there that kind of question his judgment, you know, not really knowing him. Then you have that sort of thing. You know, I absolutely love Jean-Claude Van Damme. He's only behind Arnold Schwarzenegger in terms of my favorite action stars. But I would say this is probably one of the more drier films that he's done. It wasn't terrible necessarily. I did kind of like the more realistic side of it, I guess. It's not like... I guess that'll frustrate some people as well because there isn't a whole lot of hand-to-hand in this. Towards the end there is a little, and it's not too bad. Definitely not edited to crap completely anyway, like you know, Seagal and Belly of the Beast. Van Damme, I think he gives a commendable performance in it. But just the way it is, the pacing of the movie and some of the other characters and just the premise alone, it is a bit on the more dull side for a Van Damme movie, I think. In terms of the other actors, not too bad. Julie Cox, our main female, isn't too bad. You have Razika Dadi, who is actually with Van Damme in the movie Hard Corps as well. He's been in some other genre stuff too. And then you had Alan McKenna and William Tapley and, you know, some others like that weren't too bad. They all fit their roles fine, I guess, but no one was really that memorable. Some of the performances could be a bit dry at times as well. But still not bad. I don't know if is this my least favorite Van Damme film? But again, even my least favorite Van Damme film was still pretty entertaining. Like, I'd watch this before, most likely before Belly of the Beast anyway. And even in a kind of mesh Van Damme movie like this, I still think Van Damme puts you know, a decent amount of believability forward for his own standards anyway. So not too bad, not too bad. I just don't know if I'd ever really think of it when, you know, saying, oh yeah, you know, my favorite Van Damme films or anything. But if I'd rate this, I'm giving it like a 72% somewhere in there. Which is odd because it was directed by, yeah, excuse me. Yeah, it was directed by Simon Fellows and the writers actually. Let's see. Okay, this is where I swore Sheldon Littich was. Anyway, well, this is fun. Okay. So yeah, second in command, it's kind of just among the rest, you know, really, it's not going to stick out in your mind or anything. It's not terrible, it's not great, it's just kind of there. But it is a Van Damme film, and that brings some given interest and entertainment value for me. So yeah, about 72%. Tell me what you guys thought about all of these. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.